Yes, sir. I have a few questions. Mr. Secretary, I'm pleased to see that you've included $100 million in the President's budget request to keep our domestic uranium enrichment capability moving forward. Last year, this committee directed the Department to produce a report by April the 30th that includes an accounting of available low-enriched uranium, high-enriched uranium, and tritium for our national defense purposes, as well as a cost-benefit analysis of each of the options to supply enriched uranium in the future. Two-part question. Could you please give us an update on the report, and will it be delivered to the committee on time, sir?
Well, we certainly hope to get it on time. We're well along in the interagency process because, as you know, it is an interagency process, the interagency recently asked us to have an independent cost analysis done. So that is underway, and that's the piece now that we need to get back from the contractor, basically, that we've hired to then finalize the report. So we are aiming to meet the date. I hope we can. The independent analysis is the issue right now to complete.
Thank you, sir. The condition of the Alpha 5 facility at Y-12 has been described by the NNSA as the worst of the worst. DOE's Inspector General recently briefed me and said that due to delays in the cleanup and disposition of contaminated excess facilities, the Department is taking on ever-increasing levels of risk. As a matter of fact, I saw a video of that facility, and it was shocking. These contaminated facilities pose significant health and safety risks to employees and to the public, and as they continue to deteriorate, the likelihood of a serious accident increases. What is the Department's plan for dealing with this critical problem?
Congressman Fleischmann, you're certainly correct. I'm not sure whether that particular building wins the prize or not. There are many competitors with this extremely old infrastructure, buildings that were, from the early 50s, and nuclear facilities of that age. So we are concerned, and we are moving forward. What we're trying to do is give you an example of UPF. You mentioned UPF, so that's a good example. We have, again, as you well know, some highly challenging processes in the current situation. Safety issues. We had things falling, which you don't want to do in an HEU facility. As we have now looked to re-architect the UPF plan, within that plan is a fast-tracking of getting the risky operations out in this decade, by the end of this decade, even if the full project is not finished. Our target is 2025. So we're trying to really move that up. Another thing that we are doing is in this budget for FY16, you kind of don't see it so evidently, but we had a new principle. The principle was that the programs could not have a proposal that would continue to increase deferred maintenance. So at a minimum, they had to stop that and then eventually dig ourselves out of the hole. Now, as we then do another project, the Lab Operations Board was charged to do an inventory, the first systematic inventory of general infrastructure needs across the complex. We have over $100 million in the budget request to start addressing those needs, but they are coupled, because some of those general infrastructure needs, like an NNSA, are designed to take a big hit out of continued maintenance budgets. So it's safety and budget together that we are trying to address. But it's, it's the old theory of holes. You find yourself in one, stop digging. And that's at least the philosophy that we are trying to put forward. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Mr. Secretary, I was very pleased to see the budget request for Advanced Scientific Computing Research Program, and specifically exascale computing. But I hope we can address the proposed reduction in funding for the leadership computing facilities. Can you speak to this reduction in the context of the value of the leadership computing program, sir?
Well, the leadership computing programs and so the Oak Ridge, Argonne, and Berkeley computers are extremely heavily used. They are critical not just for our labs, but for users all across the country. We believe that we think the budget will allow full operation of those facilities. But in addition to the exascale, a few months ago we announced the Coral initiative, and the Coral initiative will effectively be the next generation of those leadership computing facilities. And as you well know, Oak Ridge is one of the sites. In fact, I think it will be the first site operating with the next generation Coral computer, and that will be perhaps as much as 150 petaflops. So well on the way to exascale.
Thank you. One last question. Mr. Secretary, as you know, this committee has been very supportive of the work being done by the Advanced Manufacturing Office. I've been told by several DOE officials that Oak Ridge National Labs Manufacturing Demonstration Facility is leading the way in advanced manufacturing, as evidenced by the recently announced manufacturing hub led by my alma mater, the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. Mr. Secretary, the fiscal 16 budget request for AMO includes a healthy increase. Can you please point out briefly some of the innovations that these facilities have had with U.S. industry?
Well, first of all, I should note, I'd like to note that the large increase is there because what we put forward was instead of kind of putting forward the annual request for the two new ones, we actually proposed the whole 5-year request. So that's $140 million for the two of them, but that would be then full 5-year funding for those facilities. Kind of upfront funding is always nice, but then how do you make it fit into the bucket? Well, so far we have like 2.5 in a sense. The first one is in Youngstown, Ohio, with DOD as the lead investor, getting started with the additive manufacturing approach. And earlier I mentioned as one example this issue of printing your car in 12 hours as just one example of what you might do with that kind of technology. Again, the idea here is these are technologies, these are manufacturing directions that will have multiple sector impact, certainly in the energy sector, but even beyond. Additive manufacturing is just a place of the future. I might add, by the way, and again, you know this from the Tennessee example on composite materials, that we also insist, this goes back to an earlier question, we also insist that there are training components to this. And one good example right now is the additive manufacturing project we have at Oak Ridge with its partnership with Pellissippi Community College in terms of training, certifying 3D printers of the future. That is people, not the printer, not the machine. The second one was on wideband gap semiconductors, and that's for power electronics, and that will have multiple applications, everything from vehicles to solar, just kind of across the board. So that's the spirit. These are directions that will not be narrowly applied, but will establish a manufacturing, help the manufacturing base in a broad sense.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I appreciate your answers to those questions. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.